Hey guys, Philosopher here, and today I've got my day 712 roster review. So this is a series that I started on popular request. Got a lot of requests for this, and basically people want to see what I've been upgrading, what projects I'm working on, and why. And the idea is that you can take from my choices and the decisions I'm making and learn some things that might help your own roster. What I will say is this is not a flex video, brag video, anything like that. The point here is not to compare my roster and yours. The point here is for you to look at what I'm doing and how I'm approaching each batch and learn from it. And I'm going to try to separate what I do for content creation versus what I do to actually move my roster forward for the game. So one thing I will just say, so the last video I did was on day 665. So it's day 712 for me now. Day 665 was the last video, so it's been 47 days, a little longer than I usually do. And my TCP currently is 22.7 million. So last video, it was 20.98, so almost 21. So we're basically at about 1.8 million gained in 47 days. That is very, very, very high for me. The highest, I think, single gain I've ever done in a video. I usually, even when I was much smaller, I was gaining maybe 1 million a month. This is a lot more. And there's a reason for that. The reason is there's a lot of reworks of older characters. So if you look, for example, I will show you, some of the teams that they've reworked. So for example, if you look at Ravagers, right, I actually built out a pretty substantial Ravagers team. And if you look at my Ravagers team beforehand, it is going to look nothing like that one. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull that up here. There we go. So it looks nothing like it, right? What a complete change between these two. You've got basically these characters that are sitting at the bottom of my roster. Boom. Now they're this big. Similarly with Young Avengers, that was a team that I had ignored. And if you look here, you're going to see, once again, a total difference. This was my Young Avengers before, to now. So the reason that we have such a big difference in my TCP is because I built up some of these teams. So I'm going to go to the teams in a minute. But one thing I will also just say is one decision I did make, and I'm reevaluating it, is I have not spent any gold promos since the last video. So the last 40-something days, I spent none. And it's just, I will say that the devs have really loosened the gold promos. They've loosened T4s. You're starting to see offers pretty, at a much lower price for T4s. They're giving away T4s in contests and events. They're doing the same thing with gold promos. I've got several hundred gold promos now, and I'm not really sure what to use them on because I don't like to waste a resource, but I might start using it to bring every single meta character to 6 red stars, that sort of thing, if we keep getting them at this clip. Because, when I look at my roster, I probably will bring Omega Red to 7 red stars once I don't use Weapon X against Heroes for Hire. But for right now, my Weapon X team is huge, and I beat Heroes for Hire so easily. And so until I need to use them against another team, Young Avengers or something else, till the meta changes, I probably will just keep him at 6 until then, just because I don't want to have to deal with ability blocking Misty Knight. Because if your Sabretooth has higher health, as mine currently does, Sabretooth gets ability blocked by Misty Knight in that matchup in War. It just makes it slightly easier, that sort of thing. But I suppose I could bring him to 7 reds, but there's just no need for it right now. Otherwise, I don't really feel a real need to bring any of these characters up. I've considered Cersei to 7 red stars. It's just not really necessary. I don't really see anything that would have made a big difference, that would have changed the outcome of a match for me. But I have considered it just because I have so many gold promos right now. None of these other characters really tempt me. I have considered Deathpool to 7 red stars, but I've also considered bringing her to G16. I put no teal gear on any character since my last video. I'm just hoarding teal gear. You can see here, I've got tons of teal gear. Basically, just getting ready for GD6. Already building my storage up. I'm sure that if Apocalypse comes or some other amazing character, I'll put G16 on them. But generally, just saving that hoarding for DD6. Otherwise, I'm really not interested in any. You could see promotions here. Maybe Silver Surfer, Lady Deathstrike, I could consider, but these are fairly marginal in this, for me at this point in gains. So I've held off on the gold promos. I have had some nice pulls. I got a 6 red on Shang-Chi. I got the 7 red on Squirrel Girl, that sort of thing. But the TCP gains, as I said, have been from some of these investments. And some of them you might question. So, for example, let's just, we'll go right to the Ravagers here. I brought them up because I really thought from that prior patch, not this patch that we're on now, but the prior patch where you had, essentially you had Magic, you had the Web Warriors. I thought this was a team that was going to be very interesting in War for a long time. I thought it would overperform, and I did think T'Challa was the best overall character in the patch. I do intend to bring him to 6 red stars once he comes around for promotions. I just think he's a character that'll have a lot of staying power, kind of like Silver Surfer. Well, I think the stealing energy is pretty interesting. But, I ended up bringing this team higher because, for example, my Web Warriors, I one-shot all the nodes, even with them at Gear Tier 14. With this team, I felt like as my investment went up, I was able to counter bigger and bigger teams. In War, I've countered a lot of interesting teams. I recently had a video where it was like Brotherhood, Doom, and Deathpool together. I, countered that team with Ravagers. So I think this team has overperformed in War, and I just haven't had a lot of other reasons to upgrade characters. In other words, my arena team's already up. My raid teams are doing fine. Or there's nothing more to upgrade there. In other words, there's no better mutant choices or tech choices, so I've been doing this. The Young Avengers we talked about, that was such a big upgrade. I will say I did this upgrade this time because the devs did, for a couple reasons. One is I'm a content creator and I've got to showcase the new teams. I don't recommend this for most players. I actually think this team's going to be interesting in Grand Tournament whenever that comes out because it does seem to counter Infinity Watch very well. So if we see Infinity Watch on defense, I could see them being an offense team in Grand Tournament. But it's definitely a little disappointing compared to what the impression I was received from the devs, as I've mentioned in videos. But a strong team that I think will scale very well with gear. I think once they get their 4th and 5th levels of Blue ISO and they get even more gear, I think they're going to be better. But definitely not quite what I expected. Now I have also invested though in Dark Hunters. We have not had these two come to the game, but another TCP gain is she was Gear Tier 10 maybe. And now she's Gear Tier 15. Ghost Rider went from 14 to 15. They're both level 85. I enjoy War. Not all of you do. And if you do enjoy War, this is going to be supposedly, according to the devs, and obviously take what they say with a grain of salt, but this is supposed to be the second best War offense team, and Young Avengers was supposed to be this top defense team. And then if you want to see what I did with my Web Warriors, I have been starting to bring them up a little bit. So in the last video, Ghost Spider I didn't have the 7th yellow yet. I did get top 100 in both of the blitzes, so I got a couple hundred shards that way. And then I think I pulled in premium orbs or something. I pulled every premium orb, every mega orb I had because I had some characters to get up. Didn't quite get Scarlet Spider to 7. But since the last video, I built Spider-Punk has come out, and then Ghost Spider is to Gear Tier 15. Currently, the rest of the team is staying in Gear Tier 14. I actually was keeping him at level 80, but I've run out of War characters to focus on. So even though they're already one-shotting the nodes, I'm bringing them up just to make it slightly easier, slightly faster. It might as well. Other than that, I've not really made a lot of big upgrades this time. I did make some upgrades during the course of Avengers Tower. So I'm going to walk through the teams just so you can see. I haven't done anything with AIM. They're just a power creep team. I haven't done anything with the Asgardians, obviously. The Astonishing X-Men is one that some people in my alliance have really upgraded, just because upgrading them more and more and more makes them better in the nodes. So I could have upgraded Kitty Pryde and also upgraded Star-Lord and Rocket to blow my gear on that event. I did not. Otherwise, I could bring Iceman up to gear tier 15. I could buy a 6th Red Star on Beast, but it seems very expensive to me. I mean, I have a pretty big team as it is. And, it's a marginal gain for a team that's already over a year old, and I think it's going to get replaced at some point. I don't know. I mean, it's one thing if I couldn't get through the nodes, but for me in a game like this, you have to set limits for yourself, and it's got to be like, is this good enough? That's why I don't have Cersei at 7 Red Stars. That's why I don't have, this team is as sort of pumped up as it could be, because you have to set limits. I was starting to get low on gold. Orange gear this cycle. So if you this month, if you look here, I've built up my storage of some of the orange gear, and I did that basically by spending all the event stuff from this latest the Echo event on stuff like SBC. So I got myself back up in SBCs. I didn't spend it on any teal gear at all, just totally on orange. I just farmed the teal gear and been spending in orange. So that this way I have the gear here. So I'm sort of saving on this one, on this team. It's sort of like I did with Symbiotes. It's another team I never took to gear tier 15. Avengers is just, not really a team. Black Order, I did bring Cull and Ebony model level 85, but did not put any gear on them. That was for Avengers Tower, and it was luckily I just barely survived. Brotherhood I've done nothing with. Let's see here. We've already talked to the Dark Hunters. The Eternals have not changed since the last video. Fantastic Four have not changed at all since the last video. I just can't be bothered here. I Guardians, the only thing I did is I brought Star-Lord to gear tier 12 from gear tier 11. Otherwise, I kept them the same. Just didn't seem worth all that orange gear. Thousands and thousands of SBCs for only a few promos. Hand haven't changed. Heroes for Hire have not changed since the last patch either, although Shang-Chi I did pull a 6th red on him, but that was just a pull. Hydra, I have not changed this team at all. I haven't done any upgrades. Maybe eventually I'll bring Red Skull up to level 85 or something. Sort of a marginal thing at this point. Infinity Watch I've done nothing with since I completed DD5. Inhumans. I don't think I've done anything here in a while either, since the last video for sure. Just not an important team anymore. Kree, I've done nothing. Marauders, I've done nothing with them. New Warriors, I've done nothing. I have considered whether or not to bring these characters to 7 red stars. I actually think bringing Deathpool up to 7 might be counterproductive because they're passive. Might kill more stuff and cost me some energy. Cloak, just these characters delete everything in raids. I have to say that the current New Warriors team is the most OP raid team I've ever played with. I have played all sorts of raid teams as soon as they came out, big teams with a lot of gear and everything. And for their age, for their era, this team is ridiculous. I play, when you put these 3 with the Returnals, I mean, you just press buttons and AoE and delete everybody. It's pretty silly. They're that good. Haven't felt like needed any more gear or promos there to win more on that. This is a garbage team at this point. Power Armor I've done nothing with. Pimtech I've done nothing with. Ravagers we talked about already. Shield I've done nothing with my Shield characters really. Let's see here. Shadowland, I don't think I've done anything. I may have brought some characters from level 80 to 85. That's it. Otherwise, this team is where it's been. I've considered bringing Daredevil and Elektra to gear tier 15. I may do that soon just because this team remains very viable and will for some time. Sinister 6 I've done nothing with. Still in purple gear. Supernatural we've talked about already. I done nothing, by the way, to Mordo. I just letting him sit there, even though he's been reworked, just letting him sit there, until we figure out who the best fifth is with the Dark Hunters. Can't trust the devs' word on that. Symbiotes, like I said, I left I haven't done anything with them, and I still left a couple at Gear Tier 14. Never even bothered bringing them to 15, even when I was using them. And then Uncanny, I think I brought Magic, from level 80 to 85. I've never gotten the 7th star on her. Eventually, it'll come, but I don't ever purchase the 50 shard offers. I just wait for them to come up and just buy the initial orb offers. And then let's see here. The Wakandans I've done nothing with. Wave 1 Avengers I've done nothing. We'll still have my G13 Hulk. Weapon X they already were super upgraded, so I've done nothing there. And then the Web Warriors we already talked about what I've done there. X Factor, done nothing here. Eventually I'll get these two to level 85. I don't think I'll put Teal Gear in any of them, even though they remain viable. Although obviously getting Power Craft X-Force, I have not invested anymore here. I might eventually get them to level 85. I can't bear bringing them to Gear Tier 15 at this point. And then Young Avengers we talked about. This is a team partly for content creation, but partly because I'm into war. It seemed a very important team. I went hard on them in the Dark Hunters and almost ran out of SPCs until I bought more this in this recent event through my imprints or inscriptions or whatever they were. So that's where my roster's at. I mean, I have to say I'm getting to the point in my roster where there's a lot less for me to upgrade. It's less interesting than it used to be when I first started doing these. I had all these, characters in blue gear and level 1 and purple gear, and now it's changing a little bit. And I think that's just partly because the devs are making orange gear more available. And so if you're hoarding and you have tons of orange gear, and I've whaled in the past, not on gear, but usually I whale on an energy, which gets you gear and gold and other things. It enables you to get this up, but hopefully it gives you a sense of how I think about these teams. For me, the question is, for raid teams just good enough? Can they one-shot the nodes? And then I focus really on, Dark Dimension and Arena teams, bringing those characters up. And then the key, I like war, and I'm in an alliance where that's important and that's required. And so I do care about my war teams, but a lot of people have a different perspective, and that's fine too. The point is to build your roster so it does the things you want, but don't put any resources in that you don't need to actually get an impact. For every resource you're spending, gold, gear, whatever, think to yourself, is this moving the ball forward? Is this making things better? Is there something that my team doesn't do at its current level? If it doesn't, then just leave the resources unspent. All right, guys, if you like this video, smash that like button. Subscribe to this channel. If you have comments, questions, cheers, jeers, just leave them below or go to my Discord, which is linked below. You can also go to my Twitch stream. That is linked below too.